series Netflix review about one of the most controversial shows that used to be on air years ago. Now, I've only seen bits and pieces here and there of that show, but I knew it caused that show was a very controversial show. And I'm talking about the documentary about, yes, the documentary about Jerry Springer called Jerry Springer Fights, Camera Action, and my personal thoughts and opinions on the two-part limited series. Yes, it's a two-part series that only has two episodes on Netflix. Now, me personally wanted to watch more of it because it was quite interesting, and I had to laugh at some of the most ridiculous stuff on it. Like, there was so many ridiculous things that was mentioned on that documentary. It's just there's so many crazy stuff that happened on that show. Like, from all the people that went on to the Jerry Springer show when that show existed years ago, that went on to that show, they mentioned the man that married his horse, which I think was just absolutely weird. And who the fuck would do that? That's a form of bestiality, and the reason I laughed at it is it's just so ridiculous. Like, who would marry a pony or a horse, like, on this stage? And even the episodes about people like cheating and having affairs, and that Ku Klux Klan episode where the Ku Klux Klan went on Jerry Springer and offended a lot of the African American community, and which I thought was quite interesting that that was mentioned, particularly about how Jerry Springer himself grew up episodes of Jerry Springer, because apparently that show had over 1,000 episodes, according to what my girlfriend told me. Like, it went on for a long, long, long time. What was also interesting was that before the show turned controversial, Jerry Springer apparently was on air, and he even had a show prior to it, the Jerry Springer show that we all know of, with all the controversial guests that go onto the show, because a lot of fights happen on that show if you haven't seen the show personally, and a lot of controversial topics about people cheating and people into weird fetishes and stuff like that, and whatnot. It pretty much delved into a lot of stuff before that. Apparently, he hosted a show and it was a bit boring, so they changed the format, apparently. And what I found interesting towards the end of the first episode is it very much did what Dark Side of the Ring did for wrestling, but it did it within the Jerry Springer show. Apparently, these spouses that, or some people that were on the show with that ex or that mistress episode, which you'll know if you've ever seen the Jerry Springer show, was quite controversial because apparently there was a murder after that episode ran on air. The person that was on that show that had a ex-wife and a mistress love affair apparently got drunk somewhere and saw the episode and went after his ex-wife and killed his ex-wife. And that was quite a controversial topic, particularly that they had on the show the brother of the said person that got murdered. And I thought that was quite interesting as well. I never knew there was a murder from that particular TV show. I never knew that someone on Jerry Springer went and committed a murder. So I thought that was quite, yeah, very nail biting and very controversial. I loved all the controversial stuff I saw on the Jerry Springer show. Well, that too, but on the show about his life and the limited documentary called Jerry Springer Fights, Camera Action, and all the fights they showed from certain episodes of Jerry Springer was great. I'm going to give it a good review, and I'm somewhat going to give it a bad review as well, because I wish there was more of it. I thoroughly enjoyed the first two episodes, but it kind of felt like a disrespect about someone that was so legendary and so controversial on TV. Like, there should have been more content about that said person and that person who died back in 2023. There should have been more episodes about Jerry Springer. I think it was good and it was condensed, but there should have been more content. There should have been the same amount of episodes there were for any other limited series. Or, for example, I'm going to use the Mr. McMahon documentary show about the creator of WWE, for example. I think there should have been the same amount of episodes there were for his documentary, even though, of course, Vince McMahon is still alive, whereas Jerry Springer isn't, so he couldn't exactly talk on his own documentary because this came out not long or a few years after he passed away. But I still found it interesting. I still did enjoy it, just there should have been it should have been at least a 4-parter or an 8-parter. I personally think it should have had more episodes, and I'm a bit disappointed with that show. Like, I would recommend it to people, but I wouldn't highly recommend it to people. I would recommend it if they want to watch something that goes quick and has 2 episodes. If they want to watch something fairly short that goes for at least 2 hours with watching a 2-part show, then this is the right kind of limited series for you. But if you want to watch something and you want to get more stuff about his life and about the show and behind the scenes of the Jerry Springer show and many other parts of the show that you didn't really hear in the documentary, then it's definitely not the right sort of documentary for you. If you want more than 2 episodes, you're definitely going to be disappointed. You're definitely going to be let down with the show. I was let down with the show. Like, I did enjoy the first 2 episodes, and needless to say, I'm glad Netflix bought it out. But they should have done more episodes. They should have done at least 4 episodes, if not 8 episodes of this documentary. So in saying that, I'm going to be giving it a little bit less stars to what I thought I was going to give this show. In all honesty, I didn't even know it was going to be a 2-part limited series. Like, when I heard about this show coming out, I thought it was going to be like 4 episodes. Now, I originally was going to watch it at some point in the year. Like, I didn't know that I was going to end up watching it yesterday when my girlfriend was still here. She decided to put it on. I was like, I'll watch it, I don't mind. Because I wanted to know what the go with this documentary was and what sort of controversial stuff is. I didn't watch a lot of the show, but bits and pieces of stuff that I've seen from the show, Jerry Springer, I thought was hilarious. Even like when it had nudity on the show, particularly those parts of what I saw on the documentary yesterday of Jerry Springer Fights Cameras Action, I thought was absolutely hilarious. Obviously, there was so many cringy and controversial storylines, but he was meant to be a controversial TV host. He was meant to do something different. He was not doing what Oprah did or what Dr. Phil does or what Ellen DeGeneres did. He wanted to do something on the more controversial side of things and have controversial people going on to his show who were having affairs or who were wearing drag or who were a part of, for example, what I mentioned earlier, who were part of the Ku Klux Klan, or people who were in love with animals, which is just fucking disgusting and just very inhumane or that's just gross. But I still found that to be amusing. Yes, disgusting, but still fairly amusing. And definitely an adult show that I definitely would not highly recommend for children. That would include the documentary, and that would include the actual TV show of the Jerry Springer Show when that used to be out on TV. It was definitely one of those controversial shows. And in my all honesty, if I was to bring or a show was to come out to Netflix and it was like a panel or was a show or it was like a show with a live audience, which is what the Jerry Springer Show had. It definitely had the right sort of live audience that would be shocked by certain people going onto the show. Like it would have the people on that went onto the show, and some people would laugh at how ridiculous certain people were who came onto the show were, or people would just be like shocked or disgusted or would boo certain things or would say Jerry, Jerry, and try and rev up so the fights would happen more so. I thought that was definitely great. It definitely was one of those shows that was on from the 90s till late 2000s or whenever it was on or started for so many years. It definitely was the right sort of show for the people who showed up in the audience as well. And of course, for people who like scandalous TV shows or trash TV or smut TV, they definitely would like that show. And in saying that about the documentary of the show, and in saying that, the documentary that I watched and my girlfriend watched yesterday, I'm pretty sure my girlfriend has the exact same personal opinions that the limited series documentary of Jerry Springer Fights Camera Action should have had many more episodes. So in saying that, I'm going to be ending this review by giving the limited Netflix documentary series of 2 episodes of the show Jerry Springer Fights Camera Action a massive 3.4 out of 5 stars. If it had many more episodes and a lot more than 2 parts, I would have given the show a higher star rating. So I do apologize if this is not your kind of review and you expected me to give the show a lot more credit, but there should have been more episodes in the show. There should have been at least 4 or 8 episodes for this documentary. I think it kind of shat on Jerry Springer's legendary legacy. And in saying that, I'm going to give a quick shout out to Gibran Pakavira, Lativa Sira, whoever you are on YouTube, that says hello. Hello to you too.